Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's webinar, Smarter Forecasting in Action, a live demo of Forecast Pro. I am your host, Sodali Das Chaudhary, and our experts, Sriram Sayanam and Parikshit PR, will take you through the demo on how Forecast Pro can help you streamline and optimize your forecasting process, from automatic model selection and event integration to scalable forecasting and advanced capabilities of the system. Before I hand it over to Sriram and Parikshit, I would like to outline a few things. Please put your questions in the Q&A box, and our experts will answer them towards the end of the session. Over to you, Sriram and Parikshit.
Yes. Thank you, Sonali, for the introduction. Once again, a happy afternoon, happy evening, or happy morning from wherever people you are joining. So let us get it started with this webinar topic on smarter forecasting in action with Forecast Pro. And before getting introduced to Forecast Pro, let me give a quick introduction about Anamind and what we do. So basically, Anamind, we help companies build robust supply chain planning capabilities. And we have been into this space for quite a long of time, where with our supply chain planning competencies and expertise, we help companies to have this maturity towards a supply chain planning and where we have different kinds of offerings. So to have a deep dive into the offerings, we have planning systems, planning consulting services, planning intelligence, and planning workshop. In this, we'll be in this webinar, we'll be focusing on the planning systems, which is where we cater to one of the important planning systems called Forecast Pro and what are the capabilities of the same. And to have a little introduction to about the other services as well. So the planning consulting services, planning intelligence, where we help companies in building their robust supply chain planning expertise, where planning as a service is a model which is being outsourced, and we as a service partners will help them understand what are the base level supply chain challenges that they are having, and we try to have the best figure for that by giving the appropriate solutions for them. So in this webinar, we will be covering one of the important planning systems, that is Forecast Pro. And without much ado, let's get started on this. So Forecast Pro. So Forecast Pro is founded in 1986 and it was developed by a company called Business Forecast System based out of Boston, US. And it is one of the leading software solutions for the business forecasting and a very premier provider in the forecasting education. And with having an experience of around 4 decades into this forecasting and being implemented the solution to more than 40,000 users, be it manufacturers, distributors, and retailers, and spanned around 88 countries. Forecast Pro has been one of the most comprehensive business forecasting system in helping companies to solve their demand planning challenges and also has the capabilities for the supply chain planning as well. And it helps in creating more accurate forecast close to reality by applying different kinds of models and the advanced capabilities present within Forecast Pro. And to expedite this a little bit, so this comprehensive forecasting system has numerous statistical models present within, which helps in understanding what is the data trying to tell and how with AI ML capabilities we can able to select the best fit model and what are the different types of models that we can tweak in. For example, here we have listed down some of the important models like machine learning models. We have exponential smoothing and also dynamic regression. For example, the sales data that we have fed in might have some kind of correlation with the other type of external data, where this external data can help in understanding and aligning the forecast accordingly. So we can use dynamic regression in place, and we also have event modeling, which will be further explained in the webinar. And also we have promotional models, and if there is any new product that is being launched, how the new product mapping strategies takes place. So with this, we have a comprehensive suite of demand planning engine, which is run by Forecast Pro, and we, Anamind, being the official service partners for India and APAC regions, we are happy to welcome you all for this webinar and then directly push into the live demo. So before getting into this live demo, I'd like to have a short introductions on some of the capabilities that we cater to. And in that, the one of the important capabilities is the automatic forecasting, which is the expert selection. So the algorithm of Forecast Pro is built in such a way that it allows you to take the best fit algorithm. So where the system automatically updates the best fit algorithm for that particular forecast, where it takes the model considering the sales history of your product. And this will consider your sales patterns, trends, and what are the different kinds of business cycles that you operate, and how well the nuances for this business cycles are there. It is all understood by the system, and it gives you the best fit algorithm for this. So take you this same into the Focus Pro option. We'll have this Focus Pro demo live option here, where you can able to see the overview of Focus Pro. So this is how the overall system for Focus Pro is there, and the user interface, if you come under, it is mainly divided into three components. The leftmost component is your navigator, and the center two components are your override grid and graph. So what does navigator do, and what are the components or the details present over the navigator? So in navigator, you have the hierarchies being aggregated at this level. So for example, here we have taken with an example of a food and beverage, where we have tabulated those input data into the Focus Pro to see how the hierarchy is behaving and what are the type, category, product levels that are being made here. To go at an overall level, so the data is divided into basically into two, basically cakes and muffins. And if you go under the muffins, you have the related customers over there to whom the product is being invoiced or the sales is happening, and who acts as a data point for this. And further, when you drill down, you have all the SKUs that are present. So as you switch over the SKUs in the navigator button, you can be able to see how the graph is moving, and also the override options on the top based upon the type of the SKU we have selected. So basically, Forecast Pro takes about the bottom-down approach, where it at the granular level it goes for the SKUs and try to understand and takes its forecast and aggregate at the category level, which is hierarchy level, which is above the granular level, and slowly it gets aggregated, and we can see the forecasting at any level, be it your type level, category, subcategory, customer level, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the overall visibility feature in Navigator, where you can be able to see all the types of SKUs and what are the SKUs present under each customer, and how the forecast is being driven considering the expert selection model. So once this navigator is over, we also have the main two components on which the alignment of forecast is being done. So as I said, the expert selection model is being considered. If I want to little explain on this. So what is expert selection model and how we can find it out? So if you see the expert selection model, so in the forecast report, there's an option in forecast report where you can open and see for those particular SKUs how the model is being chosen by the Forecast Pro system, considering the backend algorithm that's are being run. So considering this algorithm, what it does is it usually doesn't use user rule-based logic, and it will narrow down my forecasting models based on the different statistical models that are being deployed. So in this particular SKU, it had considered the exponential smoothing and also the Box-Jenkins model, and it had calculated me the cumulative mean absolute deviation for this product. So based on my lower mean absolute deviation, I'll be going with the exponential smoothing model, which is automatically selected by Forecast Pro in this situation. And it also doesn't the rolling out of sample tests for these products at multiple levels to arrive at the best fit model or the expert selected model for this Forecast Pro. And this will vary considering the different SKUs that we are dealing with. So this gives an overall view of what is the type of the model we have selected, and how is the mean absolute deviation is behaving, and also the sample size of these products, which helps me that whatever sales data that I have uploaded, considering the input premises of Forecast Pro, it is giving me the best fit model, which is close to the accuracy. So by this way, I can able to make sure that I am getting into the right track of making sure that the demand numbers are more towards the real-time rate of sales, and also it is giving me the best fit algorithm for this, considering the forecasting model that has been chosen. And also on other things of override grid and graph. In override grid, you can also see other types of override rows that has been added, and which will be further explained as well. And also on the graph, you can see how the history is being behaved, and also forecast is being dealt. And in this, we can able to add multiple visual representations to see how is our forecast is behaving. And once we do an event modeling or a new product forecasting based on the type of the product, we can able to see how well the forecast is being built and which gives you the best fit statistical model. So with this, I would like to call it to my colleague, Mr. Parikshit, to explain on the further features of the Forecast Pro.
Right. Thank you, Shriyam. In Forecast Pro, we have this particular capability where we can account for any peculiar changes in the data. So we have a particular option called as event modeling, where it adds on to the existing model which Forecast Pro has currently selected, so that my forecasts are further fine-tuned. So now event modeling can be done so that we can accommodate business promotions, any business interruptions, sales promotions, moving holidays, etc. So this is mainly done so that we get more accurate forecasts and so that our forecasts are more in line with what has exactly happened. So without further ado, let us jump into Forecast Pro and let us see it in action as to how we exactly mark events. Currently, I have chosen a particular example where this particular SKU had good amount of sales for many months, but suddenly in the month of 2023 July, we saw a huge dip. Now, with further discussions with the stakeholders in the business, I have got the information that in the month of 2023 July, we had very less stock. That's why we were not able to cater to the demand. So now we can see that our forecasts are currently at this particular level, where my statistical for August is selling at 20,503, September is 24,000, October is 23,000, and so on and so forth. So now we are observing that my forecast level has slightly dipped. Now, with the help of events, what we can do is I'll just right click on the graph. I'll click on manage events and I will choose the particular month where the anomaly is seen, and then I will drop down. Now, I know that this is an event where we had suffered some stock difficulties, so I'll just put stock out, and then I'll just click on commit. So as you can see, the forecast has changed, and it is considering this particular point as an outlier, and forecast has been now corrected. So you can see that before it was a bit less, now it has jumped to the particular level where the forecast is more acceptable and it's more fine-tuned. So this will be a more accurate and a more reliable forecast. This is how we can use event modeling so that we can fine-tune our forecasts. Now, having said this, let us say that we want to create new events. For example, in this particular month, we ran a promo. So now what we can do is we can right click, manage events, and then we can create new events as well. So we can just click on the edit button and just describe what exactly the event was. We're going to commit, exit, and accordingly, I will mark this particular spike as a marketing promo and just click on commit. So my forecasts are further fine-tuned. So now this is marking events in the history. We can also do it in this particular space as well, where we can mark events for my future. So let us say that we are running a marketing promo in this particular month and we want our forecasts to increase. So we can increase the forecasts here. So I'll just go here, tell that we are running a promo. And accordingly, we can see that our forecasts are fine-tuned and we are accommodating to the promotion which is being done by the marketing team. And accordingly, we can fine-tune the forecasts. So this is how, in short, we use event modeling so that our forecasts are more in line with our business objectives and our targets. Now, having said this, event modeling is one particular way where we can fine tune forecasts. So the other way is utilizing the override rows as well. So let us say that we have a particular S&OP process where we take in inputs from the sales team, the marketing team, and the product head. So we can incorporate whatever suggestions we get from the sales team and we can put it here. Now, let us say that the sales team has come to me with an information that in the month of October, November, December, we are getting a new client. So the person is telling me that we are expecting sales to be higher than 50K. So I can just come here and can just type 55K. There's this and I can put it here. I can just click on commit. So accordingly, we have increased our forecast. So now, as soon as we increase our forecast, we can immediately put in a comment as well. So we can tell that we are expecting a new customer or new business expected. So we can just quickly type in our comments as well. So as soon as we type in our comments, we can see that our overhead grid gets highlighted in yellow. And going forward in the future cycles, when we have to see as to why exactly we increased our forecast to such a high number, we always have a reason as to why we did it. So this is how we enter comments within the overhead grid. So we also have another provision where we can enter comments in the comments tab as well in the bottom left here. So we can enter our comments here as well. Expected. We can just type in and we can see that as and when we put in our comments, we get a small marker here telling that this particular SKU, we have tweaked the forecast and we have commented as well. And we can also observe that it's not necessary that we type in the number manually. We can also tweak in our base forecasts as well. So for example, let us say that I want to increase my statistical baseline by 10%. So we can utilize this particular button in the bottom where we choose the statistical number and increase it by 10%. Why exactly? Because the sales team came back to me and I received information telling them that since we are receiving a new business, we are expecting going forward that our sales numbers will be up by 10%. So instead of calculating it manually and typing in 10% increased numbers, we can directly select our baseline forecast and increase it by 10%. We can also do the other way around where we can increment our forecasts by a certain number as well. So now let us say that in this particular month, we have received a new tender and the new tender volumes is, let's say 20,000 units. So since the new tender volume is 20,000 units, we want to increase our forecasts from this particular month by 20,000 units. So we can just type it here and then select our time horizon. And let us say that we want to direct our overrides, which have been changed to the marketing row. So we just increment it like this. So these are some small features in the override grid which we can use, which makes in overriding a bit more easier and which makes in the collaborative process a bit more easier. Now, speaking of collaborative planning, this is one particular way we do it where we have a discussion with the sales team as about the most important SKUs and we receive inputs, or we have another option within Forecast Pro. So Forecast Pro has two collaborative options to be precise. So one is project collaboration and one is called as Excel collaboration. So in this, let us say that there is a portfolio of SKUs which is handled by certain salespeople, and we need to send out those SKUs along with the forecasts to them in an Excel file so that they can make the changes in their own pace and they can send it back to you. So when they send it back to you, you can actually incorporate it here and automatically all the updates, whatever they put in, it actually comes here. So let us see that in brief. So we can just click on Excel collaboration and then we can click on create new. And I want the files to be split basis the sales reps, and I want one particular file for different sales reps. So I'll just choose my sales representatives and I'll just click on create. So what this does is it creates Excel collaboration files for each of the sales reps. So for example, you can see here, all the SKUs which are taken care by Daisuke are present in this particular file. All the SKUs which are taken care by Ali are present in this particular file. So if we go into the created Excel collaboration files, we can see that within that we have capabilities where we can directly override the forecasts. We can again increment it by a certain percentage. We can increment it by a certain number as well. So as and when we make changes within the Excel collaboration file, we can see that the cells will change in color. So for example, for this particular SKU, let us say that Daisuke makes changes of, let's say, from 15,000 to 15,000. And he also puts it here as well. So as and when he makes the changes, so these override cells will be highlighted and he can save the file and he can send it back to the main planner. And the main planner will go back to Forecast Pro and he will go to the collaboration and then he will click on the respective file and he'll click on import. So once he does that, all the changes which he made, it will start appearing in the Excel collaboration feature. So for example, let us see that in CA 2001, Daisuke had made changes, so it has come in here in the Excel collaboration row. So it is not necessary that the whatever changes we make, it comes and sits in the Excel collaboration row itself. We can tweak the settings such that the changes automatically come to any one of these rows. So that is also possible. So this is one way of making collaboration more easier and more interactive. So similarly, like how we have Excel collaboration, we have project collaboration as well, where it follows a very similar approach like Excel collaboration, like how there we split the main project into multiple Excel files. Here we can split the main project into children. So we have a button called as create child, where we can have a single project file or multiple project files based on the sales rep. So you can click here and based on the sales reps, we can tell them to create multiple children so that they will get the same view like this, but they will have only those SKUs which are concerned to them. So they will make changes and they will save it. And the main planner who is in charge of the main project, he can come here and he can click on import and automatically the changes will be imported. So these are the two collaboration capabilities within Forecast Pro. One is Excel collaboration and one is project collaboration. Now, we also have this particular feature where we can set aside main products which are very important to the business. So let us say that every business will have their own A-class SKUs, which are contributing the highest to the revenue. So what the planner can do is he can add those items to the hot list by right-clicking in the navigator so that he has those list of items which are supposed to be reviewed every month because they are very much important to the business. So instead of going to the navigator and manually scrolling down and selecting them. So we have the list in handy where every month we review the items in the hot list and then we can proceed to the other items which are let's say B class or C class. So this is how we can use the hot list feature as well so that we always have the main SKUs in handy. So this is all about event marking, utilizing the overrides, making comments, and the Excel collaboration, project collaboration feature. So, and we also briefly saw how to use the hot list as well. So now over to you, Sriram. So he will take up the further topics. Over to you, Sriram.
Thank you, Pakshit. So to give an overview on what we have covered as of now, so basically how the interface for Forecast Pro looks, and once we input the data, how we can able to align the forecast by marking events. Post marking the events, how is our statistical forecast, and what are the other options of where we can do the override and arrive at the consensus forecast or the final forecast. And once final forecast is submitted, we also had the other capabilities of how to do a collaboration with different stakeholders of the organization, be it sales, marketing, and new product introduction team, to see what are the different level of forecast numbers that they are sharing with us at SKU level or type level or category level. So once all this is done, now it gives in like an holistic overview that the final forecast is being freezed, considering the different collaboration units that we have taken care of, and now it is good to go ahead to circulate this final forecast. So now we'll share a little discuss about the reports, which are inbuilt feature reports that are present within Forecast Pro. The first one would be the numeric output. So what is the numeric output is that basically it consists of the hierarchy of the product that we have considered, and it gives me the future forecast for these products. So for example, after marking all these events, correcting the so statistical models, and also doing overrides based on the collaboration events as well. So we arrive at the final forecast, and the numeric output will be considering the hierarchy levels for what is the input level we have put, and it also considers be it category, customer, SKU, what is the sales rep, and what is the material description we had given. So this gives me the future forecast for the horizon that I have selected. So here I have selected for 12 months. So it is giving me a future forecast for the next 12 months, where I can able to take this and you can view it, and also you can save this page to Excel or print this page so that it can be external, like circulated within your team members for further demand planning and supply planning activities. And also in the settings, if you can go, you can also have the other options where you can able to see history plus forecast, and you can apply this and you can see how is your history and what is the forecast that has been given. So this gives you an overview that based upon all the different types of exercises that we have done to curate the forecast accuracy, and once the accuracy numbers have come, how we can able to export this data through the numeric output, which gives you the future forecast. Similarly, we have other reports as well. One of such is the override report. So when the override is being done by different departments, when there is a collaboration tool that has been incurred, be it with your Excel collaboration or project collaboration, and the override is happening, we can see what is the baseline forecast that has been generated for these products, and what is the override numbers, and also who had given this override number, what is which department had contributed to these override numbers, and how it has been variated from the baseline forecast that we are trying to see. And also in one of the option where Parikshit was explaining, where you can also mark comments for this. So once you able to mark comments for all this, for example, this new product head is like a little, what to say, dicey on the situation, and he's telling that it is just because it's a new product and it might not sell well, but still he had given this forecast. So what he is telling is that he just want to have this number fixed. Being an NPD, it's for the first quarter review. So he's just marking the quarter review for these numbers, and he's just once this is all done, he's just committing this comment. And once the comment has been triggered here, once it has been updated, again we can just go to this override report and see that the comment has been marked here, saying that whatever review we gave, because it's a new product for this quarter, we are going very low on this, or it might be due to some of the other external factors. Just because the product is launched, we have to do some trade shows, or we have to get in with some distributor meet to make sure that the product is selling at a high level. So that considering different kind of promotion activities that he is planning for, and he had quoted the number of 12,000, and based on this, the comment has been marked here. So which can also be seen in the override report. And the other one important report is the outlier report. So for example, when we started telling about the input data and how Forecast Pro algorithm behaves, so it has the capability of detecting and correcting the outliers. So basically, what are the outliers that is present within the sales data, which is like kind of contradicting in the horizon of what the sales data should be, and it is going either far or away from far or near to the horizon that we are trying to say, and it has been marked as an outlier. So what is the outlier, for which product it has been given, and what is the category, what is the type of this product, and what is the corrected value for this, and what is the delta difference. So this gives an kind of an overview saying that this has been an outlier which has been detected by the system, considering your past 3 to 4 years of sales, and we could see there is one particular data point which is falling right short or behind the numbers that has to be there in the graph, and we are marking this as an outlier, and this might be due to any of the reasons of promotions or no stock availability and so on and so forth. And considering this, Focus Pro has given this as an outlier. So once this outlier is there, we can just see what is the outlier and what is the corrected value and how the delta is behaving. So this is also one of the important report to see both how the outliers are being behaved in the Focus Pro. And another one interesting report that is there in Focus Pro is the focus tracking report, which is basically the waterfall report for any SKUs that I'm selecting. So what it tells me that with the recent actuals, how is my future forecast is there. For example, with September 22 actuals, what is the forecast that has been projected for October, November, and the consecutive months, so on and so forth. Here, one of the thing that we have to keep in mind is that the lead time is being considered as one, and this might not be the same for different reasons and industries, because there is always, for example, the sales team gives a forecast for a rolling sales forecast for 3 months, and based on this 3 months, the production planning teams works backward, the supply planning teams works backward to arrange for the stocks and replenish accordingly. So we can able to consider at different lead time levels, be it 1, 2, or 3, and based on this gives me a kind of what is the average forecast, what is the average error, and what is the mean absolute deviation for this, and the MAP for this. So this gives me kind of an overview with my actuals for the present till date and how was my forecast for the future months, and this is being repeated till the history is been shown. So this is basically what depicted as a waterfall report, and we can able to toggle upon at different levels for the different SKUs and see how the forecast has behaved. So if you see at the total level, for example, with the actuals of September 2022, what is my future forecast with the lead time of 1 going forward from October 22, and similarly from October 22 and so on and so forth. So this is one kind of unique kind of tracking report for the waterfall report, which we can use it for our focus accuracy tracking and other MAP calculations as well. And in this, as we marked comments here, where we were just discussing, like Parikshit was also telling, once we mark the comments here, like if a series of planners, two planners are working on a similar project, and they are just taking care of one by one all the SKUs and seeing how the planning is aligned, they can just mention like review is completed, which says the status of the product, like for this particular project, up to this the review is completed, and going forward this kind of for an accessibility purpose to see how the things are happening. And all these kind of comments that we have seen here can be seen in the comment reports also, which is a new feature where the review is completed shown. Similarly, multiple people, when they are working in similar project, or we want to have a backtrack of what are the products that we are reviewed in the recent, and if there is a large number of SKUs and we have to concentrate at particular SKUs, means we can get into hot list and put all those specialized SKUs or high margin SKUs, or which is having the good gross margin values or profitable values. So those can be fed into hot list, and also you can add some comments to these kind of product types telling that how this accessibility can help in having multiple people involved in a project, or to see what is the review that had happened for these products going forward, for having a better kind of compatibility with the planner and the Focus Pro expertise. So these are some of the very important reports that I would like to cover on this specific session, and there are other reports as well, which will be like more towards the accuracy levels and seeing what is your forecast versus history and all these things, which we can see in the further sections also. Okay, so I would like to have Parikshit next to describe about the next important capability, that is the new product mapping.
Right. Thank you, Shriram. Forecast Pro also gives us the option where we can give forecasts for newly introduced products as well. So the products can be either new to the company or they can be new to the world itself. So in any case, we can actually specify what exactly is the history which is supposed to be considered for that new product. So for example, let us say that we are introducing a new product in cakes, and we have another SKU within cakes itself, which is showing a particular behavior which is expected of this new product. So what we can do is within Forecast Pro, we can actually map the history or that behavior which is being shown by the existing SKU within the new SKU. So now let us just take a look at it. as to how it happens. So I will now quickly switch to Forecast Pro. Now, in my hierarchy, you can see that we have a product called as new product. So this was newly introduced and it has only 1 month of sales. Now, it is not necessarily always good to have a flat line forecast. So since we know that this particular SKU is expected to display a certain kind of behavior among what is displayed in its siblings. So what we can do is we can take the history from the existing product and put it here. So what we can do is we can right click on the navigator, we can click on product mapping, and then here we select the SKU from where we are taking the mapped history. So for example, our target SKU is new product and our map from will be this product within FoodKing itself. So as soon as I do this, we can observe here that the product mapping feature is enabled, and this yellow color actually displays the history which is coming from the other product. So since we have July's history already recorded for this particular SKU, what we can do is we can actually tweak it and tell not to consider July from that SKU and to consider it only till June. So we either have the option to completely take the history, or we can actually tweak it. So we can actually take whatever number of periods we see fit. So I will just exclude the last month. And let us say that I do not want to allocate 100% of the history from there to here. I just want to allocate, let's say 90%. So I can just type in the allocation percentage as well. So once I do that and I click on commit, we can see that whatever flatline forecasts was there before, it has now changed. So it is actually picking up the seasonality and the trend which was being displayed by the existing product, and it is applying to this, and we are seeing the forecast accordingly. So this is how we utilize product mapping. So we also have a feature where if it is decided that it is not right to take the history from this particular SKU, but we are expecting the behavior from this particular SKU. So in that case, what we can do is we can clear the existing mapped history, and we can actually change the SKU from where it is coming. So we can take this and we can tweak this a bit to take it till June. And let me just keep the allocation percentage as 100. And I'll just click on commit. So you can see that the forecasts have changed according to the behavior here. So this can be done interactively, and this can also be done with the help of some files in the data manager called as the mapped history file, where we want to do product mapping for a large set of SKUs in one shot. So that is also available. So since we have mapped the forecast history to be precise from the old SKU to new SKU, we have a new line here called as forecast history. So what exactly is forecast history? Forecast history is nothing but it is the history that is getting mapped from the old SKU and the summation of it with the observed history of the current SKU. So it's basically, it is the sum of the mapped history and the observed history. So this we can observe it here as well. So we can see that this is the forecast history. So the history from that product has been transferred to this product. So this is how we do product mapping within Forecast Pro. And once we do product mapping, we can also take a quick look on some other features called as modifiers. Forecast Pro, what it does is by default, as Shriram mentioned at the start of the webinar, it uses its expert selection algorithm and it makes sure that the best fit models are chosen for every SKU. Now, when we are going through the different products and we see that the forecasting models which are selected by the system needs slight tweaking, or we want to change it manually, we also have that option where we can come to the forecasting tab and we can actually change the models and actually test out how exactly the forecast will come if we use other models as well. So whenever we choose any forecasting model here, a modifier gets created. So this is how we can tweak the forecasting models as well. So the planner also has this option where he can choose the forecasting model. So he can also fix it to a particular number. So he can take this particular option and he can set the forecast to a fixed number. Where this can be in some cases where the customer is expected to buy around the same quantity every month. So we have gotten to know that we will not be observing any variation and he has agreed to buy exactly 5,000 units. So in those cases, we can fix the number as well. And there might be some cases where some products are getting discontinued and we no longer want to plan them. What we can do is we have an option called as discontinue, where if we click on the button, a discontinue modifier will get applied to the SKU and forecasts will not be generated for the future. So this is in brief about how we use product mapping and how we used fixed forecast and how we can discontinue items. So next, Sriram will take over and he will give a brief about the import tab and the export tab. Over to you, Sriram.
Thank you, Pakshit. So now the more important capabilities of marking events and aligning the forecast and also the new product forecasting and how you take different reports based upon the final statistical report that has been generated and all these things we have discussed. Now going forward, we will see some the concluding options which are the import and export. So for example, to give an overview on the data manager, so which is where the all our historical data, and for example, just give a quick overview on this. So historical data is basically the sales history data that we are updating here, and conversions might be that if you want to see the, for example, in any food and beverage industries, you will be always having in terms of cartons, in terms of master cartons. And if you want to see this unit of measurement in terms of pallets, when we get into exports, there will be loosely contained and pallets also. And also you can, if you want to view in terms of value, it might be in dollars or the net. So all these conversions can be fed into the conversions, and external data be like, which are these kind of supporting data towards the sales data, which can be marked against the forecast in the override, and we can just use for this comparison purposes of yours, what is your safety stock, what is your lead time, and if it is again some internal forecasting that is being generated by the company apart from Forecast Pro, you can able to have that as your reference and all these things. And explanatory variables would be like more into kind of an dynamic regression or having a dependent and independent variable, where you can able to see whether the sales of this product will have an attribute towards, for example, in food and beverage, when you're dealing with any sales of the product, the raw material of those product or the sales or some external factors will have an impact towards your sales data. So those data that can be fed in. And similarly, if you want to have an customer wise or sales rep wise filter filing, that also you can upload in filters and modifiers and helpers. So modifiers is basically when you change the event, also when you change the statistical model, or when you give any discontinuation, or you can see all the backslash where that is being shown in the navigator. All these are modifiers which you can put it in one shot by having this in the modifier file and as an input file, and you can feed it here. And also helpers are nothing but your events that has been marked, and the product mapping, which was recently discussed, where you can also put your product mapping file, and all those things can be fed here to have the forecasting done right and have the close cut focus. If you would ask me, once if you feed all those things, whether it will have the better accuracy, means it will move towards the better accuracy. Pardon, you have this sales line in page, and once you have the history of sales data, the system is telling the expert selection model, and it gives you a best fit forecast, and you are overriding this, you are changing the models, you are adding external data, you are also adding the explanatory variables and seeing how the forecast is being changed. And based on that, once all this is done, we are trying to come at the final or consensus focus to have better decision making in place. So once all this is done, we can, in this export options, we can, from the existing project, we can able to export all these files and then map it to a new project. For example, if you feel these are similar kind of modifiers and helpers or the hot list where we have specialized A, B, C class of items for further review, all these items can be taken from the export tab, and this can be fed into a new project so that our work gets easy, that rather than getting into starting from the scratch, all these things gets updated readily along with the SKU codes, and we can able to review the project as well. And similarly, you can able to import data from others data sets as well, where you can able to import the calculated rows. For example, if you are trying to see what is the safety stock level, or if there is a sales and marketing team and you are trying to see what is the difference in forecast between the items at different month level, we can able to have calculated rows, and all these calculated rows can be imported from another project and can be fed here as well. So these are some of the important options, and what we try to cover in this webinar is basically, once an input data, which is a proper sales data, is fed in considering the Forecast Pro inputting formats, how we are able to change the forecast, what we are trying to speak with the system, what we are trying to convey, and how the data points are behaving. And once the outliers are detected, how you are marking events to tell that these are one-time events and which have been happened due to a particular reason, and there might not be a seasonality for this product. And if there is a seasonality and trend that is being considered, based on that, it is giving you a best fit model. And once you do all this, you arrive at the final forecast, and you also have the collaboration option, which is a very important feature which Parikshit explained, where you can able to collaborate with different stakeholders of the same organization, or it might be a different departments who are giving their inputs to make sure the forecast is aligned. So once this all is done, then we have this reporting formats where you can able to export these reporting formats and make sure that it is circulated within the demand planning team or at the factory level to do the source mapping, or it might be for raw material sourcing or supplies planning or replenishment planning, and with the lead times that it has been considered. So we are telling to the system, and Forecast Pro in general is being the most comprehensive demand planning and award-winning system, understands this data nitty-gritties of what we are presenting or what we are trying to project to the system, and it gives you the best fit forecast for that. So once all this is done, and when we and what we try to cover is that the major capabilities of Forecast Pro, once the input data is fed on events, product mapping, how to take the reports, and what are the other features within the override, and how you can do the collaboration. So with this, I would like to conclude this webinar. And once again, thank you for all for joining this webinar, and we will be posting successful webinars in future, and we have aligned in that case as well. And you can able to check out our website for this to get registered on further webinars. And once again, thank you for joining, and we can have the Q&A session now, for any questions that can be posted in the Q&A comment section. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shriram and Parikshit, for the demo. And now we are open for the Q&A session. We have a few questions in the Q&A. So the first question is, can the user access be limited to certain product categories, which the product team will be managing? And similarly, can we have a location or channel specific restriction for providing inputs?
Yes, Sonali, this is possible. So when we are using the project collaboration feature and when we create different child projects, we can actually enable a setting there where we can limit the access to certain particular products. So or else we anyway have the filter file, right? So when we split the project according to the filter file, so what happens is all the SKUs which are supposed to be handled only by the product team, only that will be seen. So by default, again, they'll be seeing only the respective SKUs. So that is possible in the project collaboration feature when we click on create child.
The other question is how to make mass edits for stock outs in the system.
Mass edits for stockouts in the system can be made by creating an event schedule. So what we can do is like how I showed initially, where I created an event called as marketing promotion. For different months, we can actually mark within the system itself that this particular month we got a stock out and this particular month we got a stock out. And what we can do is we can use that event schedule as a modifier for different levels in the hierarchy. So you can use the modifier files by specifying / that event schedule, which currently has all the months where stock out was made. So that was marked. So you can use it as a modifier and you can actually do the mass changes.
Okay, will it be possible for you to briefly show it in the system as well?
Yes, sure. So now let us say that we have created schedule 3. So if we have manage events here, and if we go to, let's create a new schedule itself where get schedule 5 and I'll click on edit and I'll tell that this particular month, that is out, just click on add, commit and exit. So schedule 5 has a particular way where this particular month is marked as a stock out. And let us say this particular month is also marked as a stock out. And this particular month again is again marked as a stock out. So we know that it is in event schedule 5. So let us say that we want to apply the same event schedule to other SKUs. So I just click on OK. Let's come here. I'll go to my custom modifier. I'll apply my same event schedule, where you can see that every month it was mass marked as stock out, stock out, stock out. So we need to have event schedules in place. And this modifier can be applied through the modifier file as well if we do not want to apply it interactively. So we also have other options, like if we right click and we can click on apply modifiers to this level. So all the SKUs in this particular in these particular months support stockouts. So then you can, so everything got mass marked. So this is how you can actually do it.
Thank you, Parikshit. I hope that clarifies. Another question, apart from overrides and collaboration, how effective is ML in making adjustments in an automated way?
To answer this question, machine learning, it uses something called as extreme gradient boosting and decision trees. So it automatically takes into consideration all the behavior which was exhibited in the past, and then it gives us the forecast. Now, we also have the capability where whatever event schedules we created, which has the event codes, that can be incorporated within the machine learning also. So for example, if I have to go back to Forecast Pro, and let us say that this particular SKU I have applied machine learning. So we can actually customize the machine learning model also, where we tell that you use machine learning, but along with using machine learning, use my event schedules as well. So we have this kind of capability. So to answer it in short, yes, machine learning is very much capable in giving us accurate forecasts because it uses this extreme gradient boosting, which is verified technique and which is actually one of the best techniques within machine learning. So it does that and it actually gives us a good result. But if we want to fine tune it further, we always have the option to use event schedules and to use explanatory variables also, so that it can be further fine tuned. So this is how we can utilize machine learning, and this is how we can fine tune machine learning as well.
Okay, thank you. I think we have very little time left for just another question. How the Focus Pro is effectively working on the new products introduced into the market, and how the method of forecast can be determined.
The method of for new product forecasting, we can have the particular method which I just told in the webinar, where we actually copy the sales history from an existing product, and because we are expecting the new product to display a similar kind of behavior. Apart from that, we also have a capability where we can use a custom component model, where we can actually specify our launch total and what exactly should my forward forecast look like. So we can use the custom component model, or we can use any existing models, any existing products which are displaying the certain kind of behavior. Apart from that, we can also use another model called as by analogy model, where we create helpers from the existing products and we use those helper variables to the new products. So to tackle new products, we have these three methodologies like by analogy, custom component, and using the existing products behavior. So this is how we can do it. So once we do it, it will give us an approximate forecast. And this forecast for the next few months, it should be monitored very closely. So it is not like once we do like this, we will get 100% accurate forecasts. So to get a decent approximation, we utilize these techniques and then we monitor them closely for the next 6 months or the next 12 months. So every company will have their own time frame of looking at new products. So it can either be 6 months or 12 months or whatever.
Thank you so much for answering these questions. And if you have more questions, you can put it in the Q&A section, and we can, share the responses over an email. So please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section. Also, you could email us your questions on hello@anamind.com if you have any questions, later on. And you could also call on the number that is provided on the screen. That is +91 97399 26463.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for joining the session. We hope you've enjoyed it thoroughly, and you'll come back with more questions. And we hope to see you again in our future webinars. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.